Firstly, thank you all for joining. My name is Imran Namawala. I'm the founder of the Wallaway Foundation. The Wallaway Foundation is an organization that provides a variety of training for communities. One of our key products is educational training for educators and educational leaders. We also do entrepreneurship training and a variety and litany of training for the various community stakeholders that exist. For more information on our foundation, please go to the wallawayfoundation.org. I'll leave that description below. Today, I'm very honored to present and introduce Dr. Maria Faruqi, who started her training in nutrition in Oxford, England, with a focus on maternal nutrition. After completing her studies in England, she pursued a doctorate of pharmacy from University of Rhode Island, followed by a fellowship in clinical toxicology. She is also a registered yoga teacher, and she is currently pursuing a certification through the Institute of Functional Medicine. Maria is a global citizen of the world, having lived in 4 different countries and various cities, and she has a broad understanding of different cultural experiences, including food and lifestyle choices. Today, we have an amazing webinar with Dr. Maria on how teachers can play a part in optimizing children's health. We're going to cover a variety of items and issues such as food choices, movement, meeting the energy needs of children, incorporating a mindset of gratitude, and much more. As a father of 4 children, I am very, very intrigued and interested in this topic. Small story, my kids were homeschooled for a while. And I remember when my children started school in Chicago, after about a couple of months, we started noticing postural issues, right? They were starting to have slumped shoulders. And I think one of the things that we don't take into account is how many hours a day they sit in these rigid chairs, or how much of a lack of movement there is. So without further ado and without boring anybody, I want to introduce Dr. Maria, and I would like for her to take over from here. And I'd like to thank everyone once again for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran, for having me over here. I'm quite honored to be here. This is of course, an exciting topic for me and something I'm really passionate about. I'm a mom of 2 children, and I have done vast array of schooling with them from homeschooling to faith-based schooling, to charter, to public, to private schooling. And I have observed various things as a mother. And myself personally, I've been to schools in 3 different countries. So I understand various philosophies of schooling out there and the way various methodologies and how it can impact a child. So this topic is very big and huge. And I hope to plant some seeds in the mind of our viewers. And hopefully they will take these ideas and grow with these ideas. Of course, this topic is vast, is big, and so I may not be able to cover everything within the hour. So I'm sure we all have stories of teachers we have come across in our life, good or bad teachers. We may not remember what they exactly taught us, but we remember with how well they taught us with compassion, with grace, with kindness, with sympathy. I am a pharmacist, but I didn't do very well in chemistry at school, but I loved chemistry. And I find that really fascinating. If somebody had told me when I got that C grade in chemistry, hey, you will become a pharmacist, I would have laughed at them. But my teacher, my high school chemistry teacher, was absolutely amazing teacher. She taught me with smile. She taught me with grace and compassion. She said, Maria, you got it. And every time she said, you got it, I pretended I did get it. Yes, I got it, right? And then even though I still got a C in my exam, in my test, and somehow I ended up being a pharmacist. So to me, I still remember her name, Mrs. Ridley. She was an aspiring role model in high school for me. So as educators, I think we have to appreciate that our children may not learn everything from us, but they are watching us, right? And we know that as parents, our children are always watching us, how we frown, how we're observing something, how we talk, even the small talk we do to ourselves. I say, well, Mom, you said that. Well, you told me not to do that, but you did that yourself, right? We always have our children keeping an eye on us. So don't you think they're doing the same to their parents? My daughter is very talkative and she talks a lot about her teachers. And I just listen and I'm so intrigued and so surprised at the little observations she makes, even from the cup she holds to the earrings she wears, to which teacher she talks to, what she does at her lunchtime. And she's a 12-year-old and she's very observant of her teacher. So how can an educator optimize a child's health? And why does it matter to a child, to a teacher? So I want us to appreciate this. 60% of adults have at least one chronic health condition. I think we all know somebody who has either diabetes or heart disease or cancer, something they are challenged with, right? Obesity is growing at an alarming rate. We just go to the mall, we can go outside and we can see obesity is strikingly high. By 2025, 8 out of 10 children will have one chronic health condition per Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, right? And that's a staggering high number. Autism is on the rise. The prevalence for autism has tripled since 2000. 1 in 4 will have some form of autism by 2033, meaning my child in 10 years' time either will have autism or definitely will interact somebody who has autism. And I think we already know several children who have autism. So we have a nationwide health crisis. So we cannot put blinkers on and as educators, well, my job is to teach them algebra or English and move away. We have to acknowledge we have a nationwide health crisis, and I have a part to play. Everyone has a part to play, I would argue, right? From a parent, an educator, a grandparents, from the librarians, from anyone who has any kind of an influence on a child has a responsibility towards the health of the child, because we are becoming metabolically unhealthy. I am seeing children with high cholesterol. I am seeing children with diabetes. I am seeing children with at least one chronic health condition. So as educators, it is paramount for us that we can find ways, and I hope to plant some seeds in your minds, in the viewers' minds, how we can do this. Firstly, how many of us have seen this in school, right? I think every single school has it, right? It's a private company that is contracted with our public schools that supplies the vending machines with these lovely ingredients, right? And I don't know if you've ever been stuck in a situation in front of a vending machine and you're trying really, really, really hard, what is the healthiest option? And you might go for Sun Chips, right? Or the pretzels. Like, well, yeah, I'm trying to be healthy and I know these options are not really best for me, but you just go for Sun Chips. But Sun Chips is, I can see on the top left, but Sun Chips is also not very healthy. So we find these in schools. So what message are we giving our children when we see this in school? As a pharmacist, people come to me and say, well, you don't recommend this, but how come your pharmacy sells this, right? The nutritionist doesn't recommend this bread, but how come this bread is being sold in the supermarket? So if our children see these machines, these processed packaged foods in our schools, how can we tell them, hey, don't eat them. These are not so helpful for you. And I'll try to explain why these are not. I grew up in the 80s. I would say my mom cooked a far lot more than me. I ate far more home cooked meals than my children probably do, right? But you know, those little sneaky things did come up in our homes, right? The microwave just came around and we had those cornflakes. I remember going to India and looking forward to Indian breakfast, but my uncle said, hey, Maria, I got cornflakes for you, Kellogg's cornflakes, you know, the box. So these were snuck into our homes, right? And we thought, well, you know, as a snack, I will eat them. They'll be a treat for us, right? But what happened was eventually the frequency of us eating this processed packaged foods has increased. We no longer look at frosted Pop-Tarts. They are you go to supermarket and it's mind-boggling how much processed food is out there, right? And then we wondered why our kids were behaving badly. In a nutshell, processed packaged food causes unhealthy weight gain. It causes ADHD and ADHD-like behavior, can cause autism, can cause diabetes even in children. American Academy of Pediatrics publishes their practice guidelines every year or every few years. They revisit the guidelines, and every single guideline based on food colorings, food additives has said this has been linked to autism and ADHD-like behavior. There was a study done. How long does practice guidelines that certain academies put out, and how long does it translate into practice? It's an average of 17 years. So that means 17 years ago, the science was established on something, but the doctor got it now. Okay. And he's relating that information to you, right? So how many of us, I would like to ask you, have been to a pediatrician, and you know how they ask, hey, does your child wear a helmet? Does your child wear a seatbelt? They have this mandatory questions they have to ask. Do they ask you, hey, does your child eat processed packaged foods? How often do they eat that? Not many pediatricians ask that. I take my daughter yearly to pediatrician visits, and I'm very curious what kind of questions she asks, but she never asks my daughter about her diet. She'll just say, hey, are you eating enough fruits and vegetables? That's all she says. So my daughter believes, okay, so I can have carrots and a bag of Doritos. That's okay, right? So look at this ingredient list, which I copied directly from the Doritos website, okay? And I want to just a brief glance at it. And if you see, maybe there are 2-3 ingredients that you may have in your kitchen, right? Can you make this at home? Can you like roll out small, tiny Doritos and bake them and then have a family Dorito night? No, you cannot make these at home. These are unnatural, inorganics, synthesized, GMO, pesticide-laden ingredients. None of these serve any purpose nutrition-wise to our children, or even mental health-wise, okay? And I often like to tell people when we are taking road trips, and our children are being a bit, unsettled in the back and they're fighting with each other, what do we say? Okay, let's just stop at a gas station and get some snacks. That'll just keep them quiet for a bit, right? I often see that. Okay, so what are you going to find at a gas station? Not much, right? Some random junk food like this. So you just buy them Doritos. You buy them Doritos and they look very cute with those Doritos. They have the orange mouth and then they fall asleep with the orange faces, right? We think this is also cute. But in fact, you're causing significant long-term harm to our children. Why are we causing this long-term harm? Because we know as teachers and educators and as parents, classroom behavior is important for our children. For classroom behavior to be almost impeccable or near impeccable, we need our children's brains to be functioning, right? We need certain neurotransmitters. Now, you may have come across these in some high school class or some biology class. Serotonin, which calms us down, regulates our mood. Dopamine, which motivates us to do homework, which motivates us to take on an exciting project, which motivates us to look for the reward that's going to be at the end of the school year. Melatonin, which calms us down, which tells us to go to bed. GABA, another anxiety-reducing hormone. Chynurenic acid, another neurotransmitter, which dampens any inflammation that could be happening in our brain. All these neurotransmitters, we need them. We cannot survive without them. These are chemical messengers. If we had none of these, we would be just, I don't know, I think we'll be dead. So these neurotransmitters need something to build. They require building blocks. What do they need? They need amino acids, which come from proteins. And then proteins come from the food we eat, the high protein food we eat, such as the beef, the chicken, the beans, the nuts, the eggs. Think of all high protein content food. Those build the neurotransmitters, and those neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that signal our brain to act as we should be acting. So if you had an anxious child in your car, a child who's showing an anxiety-like behavior at home, or in your school, or in your classroom, what would you give the child, right? Would you give the child Doritos, or would you give a child a banana? I know banana is not an exciting option here, but there's so many other options I could have chosen, right? Even a pack of mixed nuts would have been helpful. I know in school you can't, but there's so many other things like we can consider for our kids. Do you think Doritos is going to help build the capability to find their anxiety? No, because it doesn't contain anything that helps build any neurotransmitter. Again, you can put Pringles here, right? You can put Welch's fruit snacks here. You can put apple juice here. Yes, apple juice. You can put orange juice here. You can put Rice Krispies, whatever you like. But consider a banana, vitamin B6. Vitamin B6, essential for energy metabolism. We think basic biology, we think, what do I need for energy? Glucose. Okay, No, you also need vitamin B complex. Fiber. Fiber, yes, it makes your bowel habits regular, but we need our bowel habits to be regular so we can remove toxins from our body. Otherwise, we are reabsorbing them, right? Potassium, another great mineral to allow every single neuron in our body to fire, right? Every single cell in our body to contract. I'm just sitting here. I'm not moving much, right? Besides my hands are moving. The fact that I'm sitting here I'm using my muscles to sit requires my muscles to activate, requires some kind of a contraction to happen. And that contraction requires some minerals. Magnesium, same thing. Vitamin C, extremely, when we think of vitamin C, we think of like, okay, fight infections, COVID, vitamin C, infections, virus, vitamin C, right? Most people, I know that's what most people think of. But vitamin C is an extremely important vitamin to help support our adrenal glands. And our adrenal glands require vitamin C to produce a stress hormone called cortisol, which needs to be in balance. Some people can have excessive amount, but at the same time, we do need to produce it. And cortisol requires vitamin C. Manganese, another brilliant mineral required for brain health. And it does definitely have some protein, a good quality protein. So, well, don't you think this is an efficient answer, a good answer to address a child's anxiety? Carbohydrates. Kids need carbohydrates to run around. So it provides energy. Flavonoids. Okay. I don't know if you've been scuba diving, but when I went once to scuba diving in Belize, it blew my mind how much there is under the water that I don't know, right? It's not like as if I know what everything is out there in the galaxy, but at the same time, I had a deep appreciation of so much of this world I don't know. Same thing with our fruits and vegetables. Scientists to this day are still discovering the phytochemicals, or the flavonoids that are present in our fruits and vegetables. So incorporating a diet that is colorful, there's green in there on your plate, there's yellow, there is red, there is purple, means you're introducing like magical properties of these fruits and vegetables to your child, which is helping them in many ways that we don't even have yet, in many ways that we have yet to appreciate. So what can you do as educators? So give appropriately timed meal breaks, right? During COVID, I've realized some things have changed in schools, lack of access to locker rooms, certain lot less children in cafeterias. So their adjustments have been made, but I find my daughter gets a 40-minute in school meal break, but only 25 of that she gets to use it because she has technical issues in dropping her backpack because she cannot get to the cafeteria. She's not allowed to go to the cafeteria with her backpack. So I'm sure every school has some nuances or little technicalities they can play around with, but honor your students' meal break time. Do not ask them to come and do their messed up homework. Okay, they won't have the power to do it. Do not ask them to do anything else during the meal break. Give them the time to eat. And consider offering other options than processed foods in the vending machine. I know a school that has contracted with the local farmers market, and they have delivered fresh fruits every second day to the school. And they're in front of the counselors and the principal's office, and the child can just grab and walk away. Okay, so imagine, okay, maybe 20% of the children chose the fruits, but at least that's a big number. It's growing. And if one child is seen peeling an orange, don't you think that would entice another child? Hey, where did you get that? Hey, outside Miss Smith's office. Yes. So make fresh fruits or vegetables more available. Create a plan for healthy offerings in your school. Brainstorm with your teachers, brainstorm with the school and admins, and figure out a way, what else can we offer? And do not make it okay to drink soda in school. Okay, I think that should be number one thing. If you don't take Doritos out yet, but I think we should definitely take sodas, our Cokes, Pepsi, Sprite. And I also believe in juices, because juices are just laden with glucose. They're usually like up to 20% juice. I don't like juices either. Water should be encouraged at all times. make sure it's readily available for children who may have not bought a water bottle with them or a flask with them to hold their water, or maybe you don't have access to a fountain. Ask your, I would tell the educators, ask your parents who are always willing to help you out. Hey, can you supply us with a pallet of water bottles from Costco or Sam? Leave it in your classroom. Let the children grab water, because if they are not hydrated, I kid you not, they're not able to think. Okay. And how can educators know children are dehydrated? Look at their chapped lips. Okay. See if they're sleepy. Okay. See what kind of a drink do they have on their desk? Are they even carrying a drink? And offering water also does freshen up a child. I don't know how you feel, but when I drink a sip of water, sometimes I feel like alert. I feel alert and I feel like, okay, I'm ready to do the next thing. And I also ask you, you don't have to share with me now, what does your lunch look like? What are you eating in front of the children? Okay. Do you talk about your lunch with your kids? Hey, I brought a chicken salad with me today. I can't wait to eat this, right? What kind of a discussion do you have about your lunch with your kids? Because remember, as I said earlier, the kids are watching you. Their kids are observing what you are doing. Movement choices. So when we don't move, basic science, really nothing much to fathom around here. When we don't move, we begin to use our muscles less, and therefore less glucose is needed by the muscles. So when any food we eat, it just converts into fat, simple science, right? Because the muscles are not really growing because there has been no demand for it to grow. No demand, muscles are not growing. Basically, any excess carbs you eat, any excess sugar you eat converts into fat. So don't let kids sit around at PE time if they're not able to do PE. Like I understand that sometimes if kids have certain needs, they don't have to do the jumping jacks, or they don't have to do anything. They can just sit on the bleachers and opt out of the physical activity. Have them walk, encourage them to move, give them an alternative exercise that they can do. Ask them to walk around the track or the gym room. And also you can explore the idea of giving them movement-based breaks, right? So it doesn't have to be very long. It could be just like middle of the class for 2 minutes, you make them walk around the class. Okay, there might be quite a bit of shuffling, but at least there is movement. Or make them stand still, run on the spot, or do some jumping jacks, and then get them back to sit down and carry on with the work. And again, how do kids see their educators, right? Do they see you move, or do they see you sit on their desk throughout the 45 1-hour class? Do they see you get up, walk purposely around the classroom to address a child? Do they see you moving? And do you encourage them to move as well? And the other thing I want to talk about is this is what I practice in yoga. Meet the student at the level they are at. So that means if a child is, as a parent, if a child is acting hyper or has a lot of energy in them, what you can say, meet the child at that level, show that energy to them, show that enthusiasm to them, right? And then once you have met that energy level, then try to calm them down. Or if you see a child with a dampened energy level, very quiet, very subdued, perhaps anxious, invite them to movement, invite them to move around, make their body move, and you might notice a big change in their mood level. Now, cognitive development. To me, I feel like, I know this, that as a parent and as an educator, our children are more than just their physical health, right? We look at their mental health, we look at their spiritual health, we look at their emotional health. There has to be a whole rounded approach in the child's development. You as an educator, I as an educator, as a parent, I am responsible in how they construct the world around them and how they perceive the world around them. I mean, as an educator, you may not be responsible for the home life, but you are responsible in how they perceive education. They can build negative schema or positive schemas, which are basically mental representations of how they understand and respond to a situation. I know in children, positive and negative schemas can build at an early age, and they are based on feedback from others. So I remember when I migrated from Saudi Arabia to England, physics was one of the challenging subjects that I encountered. And I very well remember the teacher wasn't very well supportive and didn't quite understand the challenge I had in understanding certain concepts. And the language that he used with me developed in me a lifetime, I would say, to this day, which I'm still trying to beat, is this: I don't understand physics well. I still say this to myself: I still don't understand physics well. I've built the schema based on a feedback that I received from a teacher, right? And that was a 1 second feedback that I received, but I built a lifetime of this representation that, okay, well, I'm a chemist, I'm a pharmacist, but of course I can't understand physics, which I'm sure is not necessarily true. I'm sure if I had put my mind to it, I will understand it. So I love this slide. So there, our children, our students can have these cognitive distortions, right? Magnifying the negative details. They may have had very good grades, but they're looking just at the one D they had. Polarized thinking: I am bad at math. I'm bad, that's it. I'm good or I'm bad. They can't say I'm average at math. Overgeneralization, right? I hate math. Jumping to conclusion: the math teacher hates me. Catastrophizing, meaning that I'm going to fail. That's it. I'm going to fail at the end of this year. Personalization: my math teacher hates me. She doesn't like me. She always picks on me. Blaming: well, if the dog didn't chew my math paper, I would have, got an A in my math grade. Lots of should. Oh, maybe I should have done that. Maybe if I did this, it would have worked out. Emotional reasoning: oh, I am feeling worthless, therefore I'm inadequate. Fallacy of change: well, if my math teacher would change this, then I would get an A grade. Always bring right. Heaven's reward fallacy: the world is out to get me. Everyone is out to get me. The global scale of somebody is out to get someone, right? So and how many times have you heard this in children? Any of these phrases they may have said: oh, she hates me. Oh, I'm terrible. Oh, I suck at it, right? And these are cognitive distortions that our children are building. So what can you do as an educator? What can you do as a parent? Encourage journaling, because journaling allows, when you write it down, when I journal and I write it down, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of really weird. Do I really mean it by thinking that way? Journaling challenges you to the distorted beliefs you may have about yourself. So telling the children, buying, Target has cute journals. You can go to dollar store, they have cute books. Make them decorate their journals. Excite them. As an educator, you can excite them in their journaling. I recommend usually 2 kinds of journaling. One is like a personal journaling, like how you feel about family, personal life. And then another journaling I recommend is for professional level. So like, how do you feel as a student? How do you feel as an educator? So I invite educators also to journal. I invite educators to invite their students to journal. Perhaps in English class or ELA class or some class, you give 5 minutes to journaling to every child, and the educator also journals himself or herself in front of the student body. And evaluate, what do your schemas as an educator look like? What beliefs do you hold to be true, right? And do you verbalize those beliefs? Do you say to the children, oh, you know how the school does it. The school doesn't care. Oh, the principal doesn't care for us. The 8th grades are always left behind. Our class is always behind. Like, what kind of language do you have for the children? Again, I'm planting seeds in your mind. You may not have it. You may see somebody else with it, but I ask you to evaluate yourself. What kind of schemas, positive or negative, do I give to the children in school? So this is all I have. I always think of our journey in education like a highway journey, just like this, right? And you see same cars, blue, red, gray, same cars popping along. Then all of a sudden you see this one lime green Lamborghini, right, with the really unique license plate. And then you turn your head and you see like, ooh, wow, what kind of car is that? Oh no, that's a Maserati, right? You have this conversation. And that car perhaps sticks in your mind for a while. Similarly, in our child's education, the pathway to learning, what kind of a role are we playing as an educators? Do we have this mediocre white sedan car role? Or do we have an impressionable role where a student feels, yes, I look up to her, I aspire to be her, I want to be like her, I value what she does, I value what she sees, I value what she says, and I would like to hear and learn more from her. This is all I have for you today. And this is my contact information. Should you have more questions for me, I am very well active on Instagram, and that's my phone number. And that's the link to make a consult with me if you would like to.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Dr. Mari. This was an excellent webinar that actually helped me relive my childhood with the pictures of Cocoa Puffs and Nesquik milk and all these references that you have. Actually, up until I was 13, every day I ate cereal for breakfast every day. And most of the times it was Cocoa Pops. And then lunch, literally every day until 8th grade, was a bag of Doritos and Kool-Aid. Should we despair if we grew up as I just described and we ate these things for nearly a decade and now we're living a healthy lifestyle? Like, are we okay?
Absolutely. I did too. So, I mean, I grew up in Saudi Arabia and there's processed food everywhere. And my parents didn't understand what it meant at that time. Yes, there is always a fresh start, a fresh day. I would highly recommend, if you felt that you may have neglected certain parts of your life with not so optimal eating habits, is to invite a lot of variety in your diet, right? So be mindful of how much fruits and vegetables you eat. Be mindful of your gut health by optimizing the probiotics out there. So making sure that we are eating fermented foods like pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi. If you don't know what they are easily available in the grocery stores. They're basically pickled cabbage. Okay, kefir, yogurt, dark chocolate, coffee, these are all fermented foods. They are great in high levels of probiotics. So I highly recommend those for people, as well as diversifying your diet in colorful fruits and vegetables, and just inviting wholesome, pure, pure foods back into diet, and trying to avoid as much as you can from processed foods. I mean, they do still sneak in my diet to this very day, but I'm very mindful of how I can correct that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that answer. I see somebody has their hand up, I believe. You can please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, my beloved sister. Jazakumullah for a very insightful presentation and indeed a reminder. It's not a question, really a comment. I think I like the connection that you have made between the foods people eat, and especially children, and how it impacts on the behavior and the psychological framework. At the same time, you spoke about what are teachers feeding the students in terms of the language they use and how they speak to them. And that connection I really loved, because one is about food itself, and the other one is a food for thought. And I think it's so important, especially in this day and age, when children need affirmation and validation. They would expect it from the teachers, and teachers ought to be role models in terms of the foods they eat. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be calling upon you, inshallah.
No, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, I appreciate that. If you present a bowl of salad to the kids, would you present it with a smile, or like, oh, here we go, dunk it in front of them, right? I mean, it's just the attitude, the little tiny messaging that we're giving to our kids is super important. And it's something that we all are working on, right? I'm not saying I perfected it either. We all are very mindful, and there are days where we are not so mindful, and the days where we are mindful. And I don't mean to put this heavy burden on the educators. And I just want them to understand that the children are watching us, are observing us, and are making choices based on our behavior. And I think that is quite scary, even for me as a parent. They're making choices based on our behavior. So thank you.
Thank you for that response. I know we have more questions before we proceed to the next question. I put some links in the chat section. The first link is a Google form link. If you wouldn't mind filling it out, please. It's very beneficial for our organization, so we know what type of content to provide in the future. It also gives us feedback on today's session. So please do access that Google form link and fill it out. It would be very beneficial. And then second, we added a couple links to the last chat. One of them is the link to our YouTube channel. We are uploading between 5 and 7 videos a week. We have multi-language support, so we have subtitles in Arabic, Swahili, Urdu, Gujarati, Turkish, Spanish, and multiple languages, because I see we have individuals who joined from Guyana, Panama, England, and various parts of the US today, so thank you for joining. And then lastly, the Google form link is not working. Okay, give me one more second so I can check it out. The last link is for dlpacademy.com. If you're an instructor, you're a teacher, a Sunday school teacher, myself, along with Habib Qadri and a few others, we've created this professional training platform for educators. It's completely free. We have over 300 videos already loaded into the platform, with more coming. It's actually also available via mobile app. There is a professional learning community associated with these courses, discussion forums, updated videos, and a whole plethora of other benefits. So please do sign up for the YouTube channel. Do look at dlpacademy.com, sign up there. It's completely free. And let me go ahead and fix the Google link right now. And please do unmute yourself with any questions. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, Mario. This is not Musfirat. This is Zeba. I wanted to thank you for the presentation, but I was wondering if you would be able to expand on the link between artificial colors and preservatives and its correlation to autism, and what studies have been done on it. Jazakallah khair.
So there are plenty of studies that have been done. I can send them to you, Zeba. I can send links for them for you. But the studies that have been done are, I'm trying to think what kind of studies they were. They were observational studies. So basically observing the mother's diet and the early infant diet to the diagnosis of autism. Now, are you asking about the physiology, the pathophysiology, like the mechanism of action, how that happens?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So when the neurons are building at an early age, they are looking for some key nutrients. And when those key nutrients are not present, there is an impact on its development. And also, colorings and additives are an irritant to the neurons for neuronal health, right? I can share the more information with you. I can't exactly think of the mechanism of action, but I know they're irritants to the neuronal health in the early formation age, and the lack of building blocks that the nutrition provides can also impact the brain formation.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a question, Sister. Jazakallah khair for the presentation again. This is really beneficial. I had a student, several students actually in a particular class where the teachers had been reminding regularly on a weekly basis, I think in their newsletters, please parents don't send sugary snacks, et cetera, et cetera. And these couple kids were very active, and some of the unfortunately least academically strong, probably due to their distraction, et cetera. How can these teachers help? I mean, they tried confiscating and, the parents got upset. So is there any other ways that these teachers could help students in that kind of situation?
As I understand this, parents are sending these snacks, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I would highly recommend an educational workshop in your school for the parents, because if the messaging is different at home and at school, it makes your job way more harder, right? So have you heard the term like a village raises kids, right? The community raises the children. So if you're not on the same page as the parent, when a child is not doing academically well, what do? You sit with the parent and you make a plan. Okay, so we will have X number of tutorial classes, and this is how the parent will support, and they will help you. Same thing, we need to educate our parents, and I would highly recommend holding educational workshops, those schools that can, hold educational workshops, invite your local health coaches, your nutrition coaches, whoever you have, invite them and have a productive workshop where we discuss valuable information. Because I think, because it's not because they are arrogant, it's because they don't know. They're not aware. It's really heartening to see how many people, it's quite disappointing, actually, quite disappointing to see how many people don't have the information they need to make healthy choices, because they believe they see it at Target, they see it at Kroger, they see it at supermarkets, so it must be okay. So again, I encourage an educational workshop because it's a lone battle. You can't fight this battle by yourself if the messaging is different at home.
Dr. Maria, so firstly, thank you. We're honored to have you here today, and obviously very excited that you're a fellow Texan, so we can access you locally and get your help. But for those of you who are not local to Texas, I believe the Instagram handle is Dr. Maria Faruqi, and please do follow her on Instagram. She shares amazing content. Just very recently, content on infrared saunas, and she's talking about different recipes she's using at home, and she shows you how she actually makes the different things that she's feeding herself and her family. So Dr. Maria, thank you. And for everyone who's joined us today, thank you for joining us on a Monday afternoon, obviously Central Time. Thank you for everyone from Panama, Guyana, England, the US, South Africa, wherever you joined from. We're really honored that you joined us. Please do follow us on social media, the Wallaway Foundation on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Please do sign up for our newsletter. And we have some upcoming webinars, which we'll be announcing soon with individuals who are experts in research and patents. So we're creating a course for our youth to become better at validating ideas and learning how to properly engage with research and developing their ideas. So we'll be sharing that shortly. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.